On February 8, 2026, the grand spectacle of the National Football League reached its zenith once again. Super Bowl Elks was not merely a championship game. It was a profound referendum on identity, philosophy, and the enduring, unshakable truth of football. In an era overwhelmingly defined by explosive, high-octane offenses and record-shattering quarterbacks, this Super Bowl posed a quieter, more introspective question: can methodical control still conquer exhilarating chaos? By the time the final whistle blew, the answer was delivered with unmistakable clarity. The Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots arrived at Super Bowl Elks on trajectories that were starkly different, yet their ultimate goal was identical. Seattle's season was a masterclass in discipline, a symphony of balance, and a relentless application of defensive pressure. They weren't the flashiest team in the league, their highlights less likely to dominate viral clips. But week after week, they methodically imposed their will, their victories forged in the fires of meticulous preparation and uncompromising physicality. Theirs was a brand of football built on grinding down opponents, on making them play on Seattle's terms, in Seattle's rhythm. New England, conversely, leaned into a philosophy of structure and surgical precision. Guided by a brilliant young quarterback and operating within a system steeped in a rich history of championships, the Patriots arrived at the Super Bowl carrying expectations as heavy as their storied legacy. Their journey was marked by strategic brilliance, by an offense that could dissect defenses with the cold efficiency of a surgeon. It was a collision of worlds, the brute force of Seattle against the calculated intellect of New England. Two teams, two philosophies, one final, decisive game. Under the brilliant lights of Northern California, Levi's Stadium stood as a modern coliseum, ready for battle. Over 70,000 fans, a vibrant sea of team colors and roaring voices, filled the stands. Millions more were glued to their screens around the globe. The Super Bowl transcends being just a football game. It is a cultural touchstone, a singular moment where sport, spectacle, and history dramatically converge. As the moment of kickoff drew near, the tension in the stadium was a palpable entity, thick and electric. From the very first possessions, the fundamental tone of the contest was set. Seattle, true to their identity, did not chase the early, explosive touchdown. Instead, they embraced patience. They accepted field goals, putting points on the board while placing unwavering trust in their formidable defense to hold the line. They were slowly, deliberately tilting the field in their favor, a boa constrictor squeezing the life out of New England's offensive ambitions. The Patriots moved the ball, but nothing came without a grueling fight. Every single yard was a contested battleground. Every pass from their young quarterback felt hurried, thrown under duress. This was not the chaos he was used to creating. This was containment. By the end of the first half, Seattle held the lead, not because of spectacular, game-breaking plays, but because they had seized absolute control of the game's rhythm and tempo. Halftime arrived, bringing with it the customary explosion of spectacle. A dazzling display of music, lights, and high-energy performances filled the stadium and dominated screens worldwide. For 15 minutes, the raw combat of football gave way to a celebration of culture, a powerful reminder of why the Super Bowl is an event unlike any other in the sporting universe. But beneath the thunderous noise and flashing lights, two teams were locked in intense preparation, strategizing for the 30 minutes of football that would decide everything. Early in the second half, New England came out searching for a spark, a surge of momentum to break free from Seattle's suffocating grip. What they found instead was a wall of unyielding resistance. Seattle's defense, already dominant, elevated its performance to another level. The pressure on the quarterback intensified, becoming a relentless storm. Coverage in the secondary tightened, shrinking passing lanes until they seemed to vanish entirely. And then it came the single play that would forever define Super Bowl Elks. A strip sack, a quarterback blindsided, the ball punched loose, tumbling through the air. A defensive lineman, a titan of the trenches, scooped up the loose football and rumbled into the end zone. A defensive touchdown. In that one electrifying moment, the game's narrative shifted irrevocably from a tense competition to an exhibition of sheer command. Seattle was no longer reacting. They were dictating the terms of engagement. While defenses often define the legacies of championships, Super Bowl Elks ultimately belonged to a runner. Kenneth Walker III, Seattle's workhorse, carried the football with a potent combination of patience and brute force. Each run did more than just gain yards. It shortened the game, bleeding the clock and the opponent's will to resist. Each carry was a body blow, wearing down the once stout New England defensive front. Over 130 rushing yards. A relentless, constant forward motion. It was the embodiment of control when control mattered most. It was not a performance built for the highlight reels, filled with dazzling jukes and breakaway sprints. It was something far rarer and far more valuable, a championship performance. By the end of the night, Walker was deservedly named Super Bowl MVP, the living, breathing embodiment of Seattle's powerful identity. The story at the quarterback position was one of stark, telling contrast. For Seattle, Sam Darnold delivered one of the most composed and poised performances of his entire career. He was the calm eye of the storm, meticulously avoiding costly mistakes, converting critical third downs with quiet efficiency, and allowing the game to unfold precisely on Seattle's terms. He was a facilitator of victory, not its flashy architect. Across the field, the young Maye showed flashes of the promise and resilience that had brought his team to this grand stage. But he was a man under siege, facing a relentless, suffocating pressure from Seattle's pass rush. Forced into difficult throws and hurried decisions, he accounted for the turnovers that permanently shifted the game's momentum. In the crucible of the Super Bowl, every decision is magnified. On this night, Seattle simply made fewer mistakes. Seattle's defense was not an entity defined by a single transcendent star. It was defined by its unbreakable cohesion. The pressure on the quarterback arrived in coordinated waves, a relentless and varied assault. The coverage in the secondary was a masterclass in disguise, showing one look before the snap and shifting into another as the play unfolded, sowing confusion and doubt. The tackling was a study in decisiveness, ending plays with an emphatic finality. 3 forced turnovers, a defensive touchdown, complete and total situational control. This unit didn't just join a historic lineage of great defenses. It carved its own chapter, a defense that didn't just stop opponents, but fundamentally shaped a championship. Super Bowls are often won and lost in the days and weeks of preparation leading up to kickoff. Seattle's head coach Mike Macdonald had prepared his team with a level of precision that bordered on prophetic. His in-game adjustments were timely and effective. His defensive schemes were flexible, adapting to every new wrinkle New England introduced. Every response felt calculated, a step ahead of the opposition. New England adapted, as all great teams do, but Seattle always seemed to anticipate their next move. This was not a victory born of improvisation. It was the triumphant realization of meticulous preparation. In the annals of NFL history, Super Bowl Elks will not be remembered as a high-flying shootout. Instead, it will take its place among the league's most methodical and dominant championships. It belongs in the same conversation as games where defense and discipline decisively outweighed spectacle. Games like Super Bowl XXV, where the Baltimore Ravens' defense annihilated the Giants. Games like Super Bowl Hawaii, where Seattle's own Legion of Boom dismantled a record-setting Denver offense. These were games where dominance was quiet, methodical, but utterly undeniable. Beyond the hash marks, Super Bowl Elks unfolded as a massive global event. The much-anticipated commercials were a cultural tapestry, blending humor, raw emotion, and corporate ambition. Some sparked widespread laughter and became instant memes. Others sparked intense debate, touching on social and cultural nerves. All of them, in their own way, reflected the immense, unparalleled reach of the game. For the world of sports betting, expectations were thoroughly challenged. The projections of a high-scoring affair, fueled by a season of offensive fireworks, quickly faded. The under prevailed, a victory for the grinders. Discipline had outperformed flash. Football, in its most elemental form, reminded everyone that assumptions rarely survive first contact. As the final seconds ticked off the clock, a storm of confetti rained down from the heavens. The Seattle Seahawks, champions once more, hoisted the Vince Lombardi Trophy high into the night sky, champions not because they overwhelmed, but because they endured. Players embraced the culmination of a season's worth of sweat and sacrifice condensed into a single, joyous moment. Coaches reflected, their game plan executed to perfection. This was the reward. Super Bowl Elks served as a powerful reaffirmation of a timeless, fundamental truth. Football, at its very core, remains a game of balance, a game of preparation, a game of control. In a league that is in a constant, breathless chase for the next great innovation, the Seattle Seahawks proved that the old ways, the fundamentals, still define champions. Super Bowl Elks will be studied, debated, and remembered not for its spectacle, but for its profound substance. If you value deep analysis, long-form storytelling, and football history told with clarity, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Because the stories behind the game are just as powerful as the game itself.